What's up, sports fans? It's another edition of the DC Sports Huddle, and it's a new day. We shifted from Tuesdays to Wednesdays. That'll be something we'll do at least through the football season, as it just makes more sense and it feels good. Hump day, halfway through the week, whatever. Rob Woodfork over here hosting alongside Dave Preston, George Wallace, and Chris Cichon as we discuss the Washington football team, the Burgundy and Gold, getting the roster down to 53. There were some surprises. Seeing Samus Reyes, everybody's tantalized by his skill set and some of the raw abilities, but it looks like Ron Rivera is going to take a chance with that. I think we all thought Jared Patterson was going to make it. He was the star of the preseason, local kid. Great story there. But some of the names like Jimmy Moreland and Peyton Barber, we didn't necessarily expect to see. George, what were you most surprised by with these cuts?
There wasn't a real surprise for me. It just really wasn't. Maybe the Barber thing, because I figured they'd keep Barber. He's been a short yardage guy. We talked about that. You need a yard. He's been guy. And then maybe, like I said last week, Jared Patterson, yeah, he's a great story, but was there going to be room for him? But they saw enough of him the first two preseason games. And Martin May, you said yesterday, yeah, he had a bad game in game 3, but they saw enough to give him a roster spot. Samus Reyes is a great story. First Chilean-born player, to make an NFL roster. He just started playing football. He went to he's only played in 2 football games his entire life. That's the 2 preseason games. That's an unbelievable story. Jimmy Moreland, look, he struggled a little bit. The people's corner. A couple years ago, he was a fan favorite, hurt his knee. We found out yesterday in the last preseason game, so he was waived with a settlement. Jeremy Reeves, Antonio Gandy Golden, I would say if you're going to give me a name, maybe that was the guy, a draft pick from last year that I thought that once they cut Steven Sims, I thought that meant Golden was assured a spot. But they like Dax Milne. That's draft pick. So, they're opting to go that route. So total surprises? No, not really. But you can see that Ron Rivera not afraid either to cut his draft picks, his own guys from a year ago. Usually you hear, you don't cut guys draft picks first couple years, but Rivera's not messing around. It's the young team, average age 26 now, and he's reshaped this entire roster and, hoping for good things.
And that was the thing that really grabbed me, and I added in my sportscast Tuesday night, is that Antonio Gandy Golden was his guy. That wasn't a Jay Gruden pick. He picked Antonio Gandy Golden. They threw to him in the red zone all 3 preseason games with varying success, but you figured because of his skill set, because of his size, that he would be that big physical receiver. But it sounds like they're content to use Cam Sims in that role, which was a little surprising to me. Just an interesting cut there. Chi, what were you thinking?
I was surprised to see Dax Milne make the roster, just considering a 7th-round receiver or late guys like that typically are not make these 53 mans, and to unseat a guy like Antonio Gandy Golden, who kind of gave me the Dwayne Jarrett. That's kind of how I viewed him and watching him. At the NFL level, everybody's big, everybody's strong, but if you don't get that separation, you're just not going to be able to make it. And I just think that was Antonio Gandy Golden's problem. Why not give Dax Milne, the rookie, probably fresher legs, a shot here? Ricky Seals-Jones, a veteran that I was a little bit surprised to see. He's kind of battled through some stuff during the course of his early career, was most notably in Arizona to start off. And, good to see him bounce back, because we know the tight end position is not certainly one. Logan Thomas had a great year last year, no doubt about it, but he does need depth behind him. So I would really say those two. George pointed out Jimmy Moreland, the James Madison grad. I think a lot of people in this area would have liked to see him make the team, but he's a late round pick. He's had his shot here. Hopefully he catches on with somebody else. But do you need 3 quarterbacks? Do we need Kyle Allen? Can't we pick somebody up on the waiver wire if God forbid something happens? I think he's kind of a waste of space personally.
Yeah,
I think the quarterback though, he's learning his
wire. Could we pick somebody up off the waiver wire like a Cam Newton, maybe? He's out there.
Cut his mic. Cut his video.
I'm gonna
off.
go.
Just cut.
I'm gonna go.
Just cut it. Just cut it. I think Rivera learned his lesson from last year. I think that with the injuries and how easy it is, really think that's what he wants. He wants to give Kyle a shot to come all the way back. Now, to your point, Chi, could you release a Kyle Allen and he'll probably still be out there if you need him, in a couple months, or somebody like him. Because let's be honest, if you are having to play Kyle Allen this year, that means that you're losing two other quarterbacks and you got, bigger issues. So, but to your point, I can see it both ways. Yeah, I think he's worried because of last year with the injury situation. But also you could say, well, okay, a guy like Kyle Allen is going to be out there. And if I need my third string quarterback a month into the season, then we got bigger problems.
Yeah. And the only value that I've heard from Kyle Allen is that he knows the system.
Yeah.
If that's the only value.
Great at knowing the system, though.
Yeah. Knowing the system. Cam Newton knows the system and he's out there on the free agent market. Dave, what did you think about the cuts?
Well, first, I'm going to address having three quarterbacks. I think that teams should have three quarterbacks. When you look at how the game has changed in the last 30 years, it's a lot more complex and it's a lot more violent. And I see this happen more often than not around the NFL, where a team will have to bring somebody in off the street and be a backup. And then I'm not saying that they're going to start a couple games here or there, but they might see significant time in a game. And it behooves you to have a third person in that quarterback room from the get-go. The game is complex enough. Each team, their intricacy, each team is far enough along in their own offensive system that you really need a third guy in there from the get-go. And when you don't, you're really shortchanging yourself, especially if you have a veteran quarterback or a quarterback who has injury risks. I was surprised that they didn't keep Jimmy Moreland on this roster longer than I thought he would make the roster. I thought that maybe a Ricky Seals-Jones would be left off the roster. You look at, they have 4 tight ends, one of which is basically a redshirt player in Samus Reyes this year. Meanwhile, you've got a guy like Jimmy Moreland, is he a great corner? No, but he's a guy who worked his way through this roster to become a contributor, a guy who lifted himself by his bootstraps from a 7th round pick. So I'm surprised he didn't make the roster, but then again, I'm not in practice every day. And I think when you look at Ron Rivera, the stamp that he has put on this team, this is his team, this is his roster. And every draft pick, I think, but one made the roster this year. He's not afraid to cut his own guys, whether it's somebody from this year or Antonio Gandy-Golden. So, he is definitely turning this into the Washington Riveras, for lack of a better word.
Throw that name into the hat for the rebranding as they continue that. Real
quick. They like St. Jude's, which we talked about. Rob and I talked about that actually yesterday. They like him. And the 4 linebackers thing right now is obviously they're not done with that position. Keeping only 4 linebackers mean that you have nobody on the bench. So that's going to be a position to watch in these next couple of days as well.
Absolutely. And Ron Rivera also mentioning on Tuesday that speaking to the youth of the team, what did he say? 25 players. He estimated 25 players that are either in their first, second, or third seasons.
Yep.
That tells you that
that's half the team.
Much like the Nationals, they're going with the youth experiment there. And to address the third string quarterback thing, look, if you're down to your third string quarterback, you're already screwed. So if it's a guy off the street, if it's a guy off the practice squad, or if it's a guy in the room the whole time, it doesn't much matter. What's the difference between Kyle Allen and Montez?
I just prefer to have a third guy in the room. I just prefer to have a third guy in the room from the get-go, because stuff happens. And this year's third string, you see guys due to injuries, trades, what have you, guys, whatever happens, it's always nice, especially for a position as cerebral, as complex, as demanding as quarterback is. You're really shortchanging yourself by not having 3 guys in that room, in my opinion.
And still not Cam.
And you can argue too. I'll play it this way too. You can argue that, let's say like I even said it too, and Rob just mentioned, if you're down to your third quarterback, you have bigger issues. But okay, let's say like you have two freak accidents, whatever, quarterback, and you're a month in the season, defense is playing well, and you have a guy that and has been with you for years and is fully recovered from the injury. Now, if he can't fully get back from the injury, totally different story. But if he's just as capable as a Heineke, you need him to go out there and your defense is playing lights out and manage a game, I can go that way.
Yeah, I just don't trust him to manage a game. I'm with Chi. Chi is super down on Kyle Allen, and I am firmly in that camp. And
what did he do to you?
Because the fact of the matter is they gave up a 5th round pick for the guy. I don't.
Oh, right. That
you need to do that. The former MVP quarterback would have been free. So, and Ron Rivera did address the Cam Newton thing, so I will address it as well. He said that he's happy with the 3 quarterbacks that he has, and it was on his radar that Cam was out there. But so, I mean, the only way I see Cam Newton on an NFL roster this year is if there is an injury and somebody, gets desperate, especially Washington, since he knows the system. We know how important that is. So if they do get down to Kyle Allen and the 2 guys in front of him are hurt, which is entirely possible, then you could maybe see a situation where Cam comes in and serves as the backup. But I mean, I don't know that there's another scenario in which he'd be, and I don't want to speak for him, but I don't see a circumstance.
That's nice of you. That's nice of you.
I don't see a circumstance under which he's going to be settling for a backup. He still very much believes that he's a starter, and I think he's still a starter. I thought he had a really good preseason in New England. The fact of the matter is they took a 1st rounder and they were happy to play him. There wasn't enough separation between the two to pick him. So I was surprised to see him get cut altogether. But again, if he's your backup, it's a good backup plan to have. But just the swagger that he has, and he's an alpha, that's a guy that has to be a starter.
Hey, quick question. Protocol here. Have any of you brought an ex-girlfriend to a wedding as a +1 just as friends? Because I hear that doesn't work out. If you've been with somebody for several years and you try to bring them back, hey, we're just pals. This is my real girlfriend over here. I think that's the Ron Rivera, Cam Newton thing. They were together for so long. It's tough to bring him back in any way, shape, or form, with the exception of being maybe an emergency quarterback.
All right.
I agree with you on that, but
in dating I'm not the person to ask for that.
No, but hold on. Listen, we got some time. Preston, let's hear the story. Let's hear the story. It obviously happened to you, so let's hear what happened.
Oh, no, it hasn't happened. We got the couple of nice waffle maker and everybody was happy. I just think that is what looms with the shadow of Cam Newton, the history that he and Ron Rivera have had, and not just because they haven't just had all of those games that they play together, but the practices, the meetings. And I think Ron was just looking for Cam to be successful on his own. He's going to be, successful on his own, and Cam's upside isn't worth maybe going back and reheating the souffle, as it were.
And look, I mean, we all know, look, if there was a chance, last year's different story because of the Haskins and Alex Smith thing, but if there was a chance that Ron still wanted Cam, he would have gone to get him this year. I mean, he would have
got him this season, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, all our BS aside, but if Ron, because Fitzpatrick and Cam Newton, what's the difference? I mean, you're not getting the quarterback of your future. If you want to plug a hole this year, if he wanted his guy back, he'd have gone to get him. And I mean, New England paid him $5 million. I mean, they would have done. What's Fitz getting? 12, 10, 12?
Well, here's my thing with the difference between Cam and Fitz. With Cam, you have more mobility. You have a guy who, and again, they have valued this, not me. Cam knew the system already coming in. So I think that he gives you more to work with, more facets to his game. Is he a polished passer? I don't think he ever was, but the highest completion percentage he's had in his career came playing in this offense. So to me, you could get more in terms of, getting the run game and the pass game going with Cam as opposed to just getting one with Fitz. And we know who Fitz is. He's going to have one of those crazy games where he's just a gunslinger and throwing picks. It was cute and funny when Brett Favre did it, not so much when you're a journeyman quarterback on your ninth team. So I would have loved to see Cam personally. I think from a work of what we
No way.
living,
Really?
yeah, just from a swag standpoint, just from a us covering the team standpoint, I thought that would have been the more fun story. But Fitz has been a joy so far, and I'm willing to see what he's got. Guys, I think we should transition to college football because that's actually imminent. George, real quick, do you want to give us something on Maryland?
I am excited to see Maryland. I'm actually going to be in the stands this Saturday for fun. So any tailgating updates, you need anything, let me know. But no, you look, with Mike Loxley, there's been a lot of excitement, what he's been able to do here and the recruits and with the offense and the everything new in Maryland now with the new performance center and things like that. And last year they were close. I'm really looking forward to seeing, this is year 3. I hope it's an exciting year. He's got the quarterback and you've got some offensive weapons along the defense too. So I am excited to see what they're able to do. I hope there is excitement in College Park. Look, being a Maryland guy, no secret there. I'm looking for some consistency, and this I hope is the year that we see it. I mean, Dave Preston's been a lot closer to the situation. He can enlighten us more, but that's just my hope. And I think you're going to see it. I think they'll win a couple games maybe that they shouldn't. And the key is just to lose is not to lose some games that you shouldn't. So have a good week. Have a good week, fellas.
Real quick, do you think they're bowl eligible?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
All right. I love that. George Wallace,
right.
you want to do the sportscast. Let's go to you, Dave. This is right in your wheelhouse. This is where you live. And on the WTOP.com, you have been giving us previews of the teams of local imports all throughout the week. You definitely want to check that out. It's going to go out in the Huddle newsletter Thursday morning. So definitely check out those links. But Dave, tell us a little bit about what we should expect to see from some of the locals.
And I guess first, I forgot to tell George that I do have his bag of Hint of Lime Tostitos for his tailgate this Saturday. So it's been in my trunk since 2019.
I'm more
it's
of a
still
Hint
probably
of
good
guy myself, but
Yeah.
you have to be really careful about where you find it. I haven't been able to find it in a while, but go.
Well, the thing is the Tostitos Hint of Lime, it's more of a strong suggestion than a hint, but that's just me. George, I think George is right on. This team can be bowl eligible this year. 2 questions. The first is always going to be the offensive line, because until they have a solid offensive line, and you can't microwave a line, a good offensive line is slow roasted. Until they do, they're just going to be a team with a lot of talent, and they have a lot of talented, skilled guys. Their wide receiving core, their receivers this year, and you even throw in their tight end, probably the second or third most talented receiving core in the Big Ten. That's not small potatoes. But until they have that offensive line, that good steak dinner, you're going to be seeing quarterbacks getting hurt. You're going to be seeing running backs getting stuffed for 2-yard losses on 3rd and 1. So the offensive line really needs to come together. I'm confident that Talia Tagovailoa is going to be the first quarterback in, I think, 7 years to start every game of the season, whether it's been injury or ineffectiveness or last year COVID. They haven't been able to get the same guy starting every game, and that goes a long ways towards a team being successful. They have a very difficult schedule. To kind of pivot, Navy has an even tougher schedule. They face 2 top 10 teams, and then I think 7 other teams on their schedule from opening day against Marshall to their final game against Army are also receiving votes. Navy could be much better than last year's 3-7 team, but still not find a way to get to a bowl. They have a lot of tough tests as you look through the season, and they still haven't officially announced their quarterback. I think it's going to be sophomore Xavier Arline. He started the Army game last year and a few others, but last year they had a quarterback carousel and it really hurt them coming out of the gate. I had a chance to speak with Bronco Mendenhall, the Virginia head coach, Wednesday morning. He's very positive. Brennan Armstrong is back for another year starting at quarterback. He should be lights out this year. Bronco's biggest concern, though, is the secondary. In his tenure, their secondary has been very spotty, and he admitted to me that that's where points come from. That's where you allow your big points, is not having a good secondary. He's recruited numbers. He hopes to get some quality from that quality, or that he hopes to get quality from that quantity this year. I guess last but not least on the FBS mindset, Virginia Tech, big year coming up for Justin Fuente. He inherited a great program from Frank Beamer, won a division his first season. They've been consistently uneven since. They've been fortunate to beat Virginia three of the last 4 years when you could easily make the case that they have not been the better team. He's got some big tests this year, including a September showdown with West Virginia. So I'm looking forward to a great week one coming up. Georgia's going to be at Saturday's game. West Virginia and Maryland is one of those semi-regional rivalries that's not a conference foe that you love to see in September. And I wish they played this game more often because it's a great bellwether to see how good is this team going to be this year.
Yeah, and I guess Maryland Georgetown doesn't really translate to football the same way it does to basketball. Now, Chris Cichon in the Navy sweatshirt, so perhaps representing who he's going to speak on here.
No, actually, I'm going to focus on Maryland because Dave exactly hit the nail on the head with the midshipmen and their schedule. It is absolutely brutal. This is a team that is kind of on the rebound from their years where they were bowl eligible. I think they'll get back there, but all these sort of service academies, I guess maybe not so much during this era, but they're struggling a little bit right now. But as George talked about bowl eligibility, that question you asked, I initially scoffed at it. Then I kind of went game by game looking at their schedule. I do believe they can get to 6 wins. In fact, I think they can open up the year 4-0. I don't think West Virginia is all that great. I mean, I know the Terps are a 3-point dog week 1, but I think they can easily win this at home. Howard, they'll win. I watched most of that Illinois-Nebraska game this past weekend. Nebraska more gave that game away. It was ugly. Scott Frost, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he got fired if they lost one more game now. I mean, and after the game, did you hear him basically admit that they did not prepare for half of what Illinois was going to do? How are you a head coach and you admit something like that? So anyway, I mean, Nebraska is certainly not the program of when all of us were younger and watched them. Maryland beats Kent State, but then they go, 8 games in the Big Ten. I think they probably lose 6 of them. You got to beat teams like Minnesota, like you beat last year. Are you able to beat Rutgers, who you lost to last year? Rutgers, a team on the up and up, and that's my big cheat guarantee for Thursday. Rutgers -14 against Temple. Now it's 14.5. So, I would buy back that hook. 2 games to really feature this Saturday night. Absolutely can't wait. LSU, UCLA. I'm going to that's kind of the 8:30 kickoff, a little later starting the game I'm about to talk to, but that's my appetizer because what kind of UCLA program are we looking at? They lost a lot of close games last year. Does Chip Kelly have this team back and into some relevancy? I think that would be good for college football to see a team like UCLA, USC sort of try and break up this parity or non-parity, if you will, that we have at the top of the SEC programs. And then I'm talking about SEC, I'm talking about Georgia, I'm talking about Clemson. I have the Bulldogs. Seems like public kind of likes the Bulldogs here, though. So it's making me a little uncomfortable to go against Dabo. But Clemson, a team, Ugalele looked really good against Notre Dame. But big shoes to fill with Trevor Lawrence. So I like in the first game, JT Daniels, a little bit more experience than the Georgia Bulldogs.
Just to build off of Chris real quick, 2 things I like about this weekend. You talked about Georgia Clemson. That's another one of those West Virginia, Maryland matchups, non-league, but they're somewhat close to each other geographically that you wish that those schools played more often. And unfortunately that doesn't happen. Clemson, I believe they're playing Saturday's game in Charlotte where Clemson has just dominated the ACC championship game. Last time Georgia lost their season opener, I think was 2014 or 2013 too. Lo and behold, Clemson. So I am confident in Clemson. For some reason, Georgia's coach Kirby Smart proves that he's not as smart as he thinks he is. But I'm just happy that we've got some college football on tap this weekend, and we're not calling it Week 0 because Week 0 is one of the lamest names I have ever heard in my entire life. It's WEAK 0.
Yeah. And it was kind of lame too. The games, it was like they were all blowouts, and Nebraska, Illinois was our marquee. I mean, we could do a little better than that.
Yeah, first 4 is also pretty weak sauce too. So if we're just being honest, I mean,
all about that. Yeah,
track on some of the corny stuff, guys. I think the takeaway here is it's football season. We're talking
Yeah.
about football, guys. It's fall. And I mean, we're going to talk about this all through the fall. And next week, we're going to get on the record. I know I promised this last week, but I didn't realize, I didn't in my head think about college football and how that's going to take precedence. So next week, we are going to get on the record for our Washington football team predictions for the season. And my NFL preview is also coming out next week. So, I mean, it's almost kind of cheating because you'll already know if you read that before you watch this show. I'm Rob Woodfork. I'm at the helm here for Dave Johnson, who's still on vacation. I need to borrow some of his PTO, apparently. Signing off for Chris Cichon, Dave Preston, and George Wallace, who's off doing the sportscast. And he's off air now, so I don't know what he's getting into. But hopefully we'll see you guys next week. We'll talk more burgundy and gold. For now, we're going to break the huddle.